Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be sharing a classic realistic fiction story called Owl Moon by Jane Yolen, illustrated by John Schoner. This read aloud is intended for elementary students, but of course anyone's welcome to watch, and I do hope you enjoy. I'll be asking some questions during the story for you to think about. If you're watching with someone else, you could pause the video at those times and share your ideas. Have you ever gone outdoors with your family to search for something in nature? Some people like to go bird watching, while others enjoy rock hunting, searching for animal tracks and other sign. Some people even go out looking for wild edibles or things you can eat. In this book, a girl goes out on one of these nature quests with her father. You'll notice they're going out at night, and their goal is to see a great horned owl. It's a pretty amazing bird. Does live here in Michigan. It's a non-migrator, so great horned owls in Michigan stay here year-round. Now, sometimes when people go out searching for something, they get so focused on what they're trying to find that they forget to stop and enjoy themselves along the way. But not this character. As we read, notice how the girl pays attention to all the small details of the owl walk with her father. And readers, the author uses lots of descriptive words and phrases throughout the book, so we'll pause in a few places to imagine what's happening in the story. You might even close your eyes in some parts and see if you can make a picture in your head as I read. Owl Moon. It was late one winter night, long past my bedtime, when Pa and I went out owling. There was no wind. The trees stood still as giant statues, and the moon was so bright the sky seemed to shine. Somewhere behind us, a train whistle blew, long and low, like a sad, sad song. Readers, I'm going to pause right here, right at the beginning of the book, and try to make a picture in my head. You could close your eyes and do the same. Late one winter night, there was no wind. The trees stand still as giant statues. The moon's so bright, the sky shines, and there's a long train whistle, long and low, like a sad song in the background. See how I did that? I just paused for a minute and imagined. I made a picture in my head of what that might look like, sound like, be like. You can try that as I'm reading. I could hear it through the woolen cap Pa had pulled down over my ears. A farm dog answered the train, and then a second dog joined in. They sang out, trains and dogs, for a real long time. And when their voices faded away, it was as quiet as a dream. We walked on towards the woods, Pa and I. Our feet crunched over the crisp snow, and the little gray footprints followed us. Pa made a long shadow, but mine was short and round. I had to run after him every now and then to keep up, and even my short, round shadow bumped after me. But I never called out. If you go owling, you have to be quiet. That's what Pa always says. I'd been waiting to go owling with Pa for a long, long time. Readers, pause here. Can you do some imagining? Little gray footprints in the crisp snow, the crunch sound that their feet are making, the two different sized shadows over the snow in the moonlight. I'm definitely getting a picture in my head. We reached the line of pine trees, black and pointy against the sky, and Pa held up his hand. I stopped right where I was and waited. He looked up, as if searching the stars, as if reading a map up there. The moon made his face into a silver mask. Then he called, "Hoo! Hoo, 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 hoo!" The sound of a great horned owl. "Hoo! Hoo, 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 hoo!" Again he called out, and then again. After each call he was silent, and for a moment we both listened. But there was no answer. Pa shrugged, and I shrugged. I was not disappointed. My brothers all said sometimes there's an owl, and sometimes there isn't. We walked on. I could feel the cold, as if someone's icy hand was palmed down on my back. and my nose and the tops of my cheeks felt cold and hot at the same time, but I never said a word. If you go owling, you have to be quiet and make your own heat. We went into the woods. The shadows were the blackest things I'd ever seen. They stained the white snow. My mouth felt furry, for the scarf over it was wet and warm. I didn't ask what kinds of things hide behind black trees in the middle of the night. When you go owling, you have to be brave. Then we came to a clearing in the dark woods. The moon was high above us. It seemed to fit exactly over the center of the clearing, and the snow below it was whiter than the milk in a cereal bowl. Can you picture this one? The moon high above, the center of the clearing with snow as white as the milk in a cereal bowl. I sighed, and Pa held up his hand at the sound. I put my mittens over the scarf over my mouth and listened hard. And then Pa called, "Hoo, hoo, 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 hoo." I listened and looked so hard my ears hurt, and my eyes got cloudy with the cold. Pa raised his face to call out again, but before he could open his mouth, an echo came threading its way through the trees. Pa almost smiled. Then he called back, "Woo, woo, 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 woo," just as if he and the owl were talking about supper, or about the woods, or the moon, or the cold. I took my mitten off the scarf off my mouth, and I almost smiled too. The owls came closer, from high up in the trees on the edge of the meadow. Nothing in the meadow moved. All of a sudden, an owl shadow, part of the big tree shadow, lifted off and flew right over us. We watched silently with heat in our mouths, the heat of all those words we had not spoken. The shadow hooted again. Pa turned on his big flashlight and caught the owl just as it was landing on a branch. For one minute, 3 minutes, maybe even 100 minutes, we stared at one another. Then the owl pumped its great wings and lifted off the branch like a shadow without sound. It flew back into the forest. "Time to go home," Pa said to me. I knew then I could talk. I could even laugh out loud. But I was a shadow as we walked home. When you go owling, you don't need words or warm or anything but hope. That's what Pa says. The kind of hope that flies on silent wings under a shining owl moon. Readers, what happens at the end of the story? Did they find a great horned owl? Do you think the girl's favorite part of the owl walk was finding the owl, or was there something that might have been even more important for her? If you decide to go out on a nature quest with your family, I encourage you to take time to pause and notice the small things, use your senses, and enjoy your time outdoors with the people that you love. Just as we practice today, readers, when you read a fiction text, especially one like this that's just full of descriptive language, pause while you read to imagine what's happening in the story and make a picture in your head. Thanks for watching and enjoy your nature quests.